Now that you have the basics of logging food, it's time to go a little more in depth and start creating recipes and meals. Creating recipes and meals that get saved in the app makes tracking more efficient so that you don't have to log each individual food every time. Let's get started. Now that you've learned about how to add individual food to your Myfitnesspal diary, we're going to go over how to create your own recipes, meals, and custom foods. In order to get to those sections, you need to click on your bottom toolbar where it says More, and then My Meals, Recipes, and Foods. Then at the bottom, click Create a Recipe. You have two options. You can add from the web or enter ingredients manually. Let's go ahead and add a recipe I found on the web. If you don't have a recipe, you can browse through the ones here. If you do have one, make sure you have copied the URL and pasted it, and then click Go. You should then see the page that you found the recipe, and at the bottom toolbar, click Import Recipe. This will import the ingredients as well as the link to the recipe. Click the right-hand arrow to continue. Once the ingredients of the recipe have uploaded, I suggest double-checking them for accuracy. As you can see, it's showing that in this recipe, you use 1 pound of black pepper. I don't think anybody uses 1 pound of black pepper in their recipe. I think we can all agree that that is incorrect. Let's go ahead and click on that ground black pepper and see if we can find a correct serving size. If you click on the serving size, you see that there are no other options other than 1 pound. So you would go ahead and click Search for Alternative. Here we can find a teaspoon, which seems a little bit more accurate, and add that to our recipe. Continue to make sure that everything else looks correct. You can also adjust if you use different ingredients. For example, maybe you use a low-fat ricotta. You would then go ahead, click on ricotta, search for alternative, and then edit it to say low fat. Let's go ahead and click on low fat ricotta, and the recipe called for 2 cups. So we can go ahead and log in our 2 cups. To continue, you can go ahead and press the right-hand arrow, or you can add or edit ingredients as necessary. At the bottom, you'll also notice the suggested serving size and the amount of calories per serving. Make sure to adjust those numbers as needed. If your recipe only serves 6, then you can go ahead and add that in for your 6 serving size. Next, you can click Save or Save and Log. Myfitnesspal will save your recipe for later use. Now we're going to go over how to add a recipe from scratch. So if you click My Meals, Recipes, and Foods, and again at the bottom, click Create a Recipe, you can now click Enter Ingredients manually. Go ahead and put in your recipe name and how many servings the recipe has. You can choose to bulk import ingredients if you'd like. So what you can do is type in the ingredient list here. Make sure to only do 1 ingredient per line. So I'm going to go ahead and add in some of the ingredients for my meal. Once I have them listed, I'm going to click the right arrow to continue. Now I should go ahead and make my adjustments based on the actual amounts of food I'm using. Again, it logged in 1 cup of olive oil, which I definitely will not be using. I'll be using approximately a tablespoon. That is not an option here, so again, I'm going to search for alternative and find an entry for 1 tablespoon of olive oil. Once I have all my ingredients ready, I can click the right arrow and click Save. All my recipes will show up in the Recipes tab. I can click a recipe and click Add to Diary or Edit. If I choose to create a recipe again, but maybe alter the ingredients, I can edit the recipe for the future. If you click on it and click Edit Recipe, you can go ahead and adjust as needed. So let's say I added some tomatoes. I can go ahead and add in the amount of tomatoes and add that to my recipe. If I'm having it for dinner, I can go ahead and click Save and Log, and then identify what meal I am eating it for. Now my dinner is logged in for the day. Now we're going to go over how to create meals. There's a few different approaches to this. So let's say that you love eating your sheet pan dinner with some cooked brown rice. You can save this as a meal so that they are always logged together when you log this meal. Click the three dots and Save as Meal. You can also add a photo as well as labeling it sheet pan dinner with rice. You have the choice to make it public, friends, or only me. You can also add your instructions for making the meal step by step so that you have access to it later. Once you're ready, click Save and it will be created. Now I'm going to show you another way to create meals in the app. Go to More on the bottom tab and then My Meals, Recipes, and Foods, followed by Meals. Then at the bottom, click Create a Meal. Let's say we're making an apple yogurt dish. You can go ahead and name it. Again, decide who you'd like to share it with, and then add items to this meal. I'm going to go ahead and add in 1 large apple, and I'm also going to add in non-fat Greek yogurt. And let's say it's 170 grams, which is the traditional serving size. Once you're done adding your ingredients, click the left arrow and you will see that everything is logged here. You again can also add instructions as needed, as well as a photo. When you're ready, you can click Save. There's one more feature I'm going to talk about in this section. You'll notice it says My Meals, Recipes, and Foods. We're going to talk about the custom food entries now. Go ahead and click on Foods and then create a food. Now you can add in the information from the food box label. You will add in the brand name, the description, serving size, and servings per container. For serving size, I would just use the grams or cup that is on the label. And I'm going to say it's 1 serving per package. You can then go ahead and read the nutrition label and enter in whatever information you feel is important. You may not decide to enter in all the micro ingredients, but it's obviously your choice if that's something that you would like to add in. Once you've added everything that you would like to in this section, then you can go ahead and click the check mark and the food has then been saved. I hope you found this video helpful. Having saved recipes and meals in the app can be a tracking game changer. Next, we're going to go over diary settings.